up, Woodward? We are starting off your day with a brand new crew. Meet Broder.
I can't control my arms sometimes. My limbs are just kind of flying.
Detroit Kool-Aid.
Fired up!
Y'all got Kool-Aid. Hi.
Fired up! But with the Wake Up Woodward crew, he's actually a part of the family.
Flannel Sam.
Ask me about my wiener! Okay.
Along with JB and KG. Wake Up Woodward gets you all of your Detroit sports talk. Every morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Live on Woodward Sports. A show for Detroit, by Detroit, with people from Detroit. Tell Siri to set an alarm, because it's time to Wake Up Woodward.
What up, though, people? Thank you guys for choosing to kick off this Lions game day, this Monday, with the WUW Crew, man. It's your boy Brandon Dan, K. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer. It's Pistons Media Day today, too. This right here, the vet of the network and the squad, Flannel Sam. How you doing this morning, brother?
I mean, the Tigers clinched a playoff berth on Friday.
Talk
How do you
about
think
it.
I'm doing? How do you
Talk
think
about
I'm
it.
doing? I am doing absolutely phenomenal right now, but I actually think there's one person in the building who is probably happier than I am, and that is Mr. Matt Broder.
Our credential Tigers reporter and writer. What up, though, brother?
What up, though, boys? What a weekend. Like, dude, the Tigers are in the playoffs. It actually happened. We did it. We did
crazy.
it. And we have Monday Night Football tonight, Lions versus Seahawks. This could be the best show of all time.
It's a celebration.
Best show of all time.
Hey, to quote Jason Tatum, we did it! Hey, it doesn't sound so corny now. It actually was pretty corny, but you know, that's fine.
man.
That's fine.
You know what, though? The Tigers have afforded us the opportunity to be as corny as we want to be. You know what? You can't overstate it. The Detroit Tigers are in the playoffs. They're playing the Houston Astros Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2:32 starts. This is going to be epic, and Woodward Sports is going to be watch parties the entire week, so make sure you guys are staying tapped in. And, hey, you know what? Watch party today for the Detroit Lions. We have the pregame show. We have the watch party. We also have the postgame, so it's a full day.
It is a full day, and the heavyweights tonight are handling the pregame for the Detroit Lions versus the Seattle Seahawks at home live on Monday Night Football. But I think to start today's show, and for the majority of the first hour, we got to talk some Tigers. And JB, you've got a lot of videos and pictures in Slack that you can throw up to just show the celebration, because I think that's what we should do in this first 15-minute period, is just have a little bit of a celebration, because we all earned this as fans, and of course the players earned it more than just about anybody. Well, actually more than anybody, period. Yes, sir.
Tyler, just how's it feel to be making it to the postseason now with this Tigers team?
It's incredible. I can't put it into words. It's awesome.
Yeah. And what's Chris Vedder and this pitching staff, this pitching coaches, how have they impacted this season for you?
I mean, from the very beginning, everybody bought in, and no matter the role, everybody goes in there and does their job. Everyone picks each other up. It's been a fun season for sure.
So, Brandon, how does it feel to contribute to this win, sending the Tigers to the playoffs?
No, it's great. I mean, there's a lot of people who contributed. I just threw 4 innings, but yeah, it's an awesome atmosphere. It's been
What's it been like since you've joined this club at the major league level? How has Feder and Nieves and Lund, how have they helped you develop into the pitcher that you were today?
Yeah, it's just calming the nerves, making sure you're still playing the same game. They've been really good about keeping me like level-headed and not making sure the moment's too big and stuff like that.
Great. So how's it feel just to be a part of this run, to come from the Dodgers organization and join the Tigers for this postseason run, the playoffs?
I mean, it's surreal. It's all happened really fast, and we're still just trying to take it all in, but it's a great feeling right now.
What was the crowd like tonight here at Comerica Park?
Electric, just absolutely electric. We fed off the energy. It was so much fun.
Man, you know what? And I'm seeing the chat right now. Jan and Kiazi, way to go, Broder. Good job, Broder. Great job to capture this moment, man. You know what? It's epic. To kind of be in this moment at this time where all of our teams, so at least 3 of our teams, we know have really trended in the right directions. From the Lions, the Red Wings, they were right there at the cusp of the playoffs, and we expect them to get it done this year. And the Tigers, they did get it done.
Oh, yes, the Tigers did get it done. And Matt Broder, you were in the house. You got those interviews. So what was your reaction when the Tigers actually got that last out and clinched?
Honestly, I didn't even get to experience the last out. We were like in the tunnel under, where the grounds crew comes out right behind home plate, waiting for the final out to be to happen. And there was one TV in the hallway, and it was surrounded by a bunch of media people. But as soon as you feel the final out coming in, the entire crowd, you could hear it like thunderous down on the roofs of like where we were standing. And all of a sudden, this wave of people in front of me just start walking out onto the field, and you go out, you poke your head out right into the stadium, and the entire Comerica Park, everyone was standing, everyone was cheering. We see the team out on the field celebrating. G-Mac Cash was performing. It was such an incredible experience. And you could see how much it meant to all the players, all the coaches, all the people in that organization. When they were celebrating, it was like we were the only people who believed this could happen. We're finally here. And it's, how young they are and what AJ Hinch has been through. It just felt so good being around that, seeing the crowd support them, Comerica Park support them. You couldn't ask for a better Friday night at the end of this season for this team.
And it's like you're right. The fans, we deserve this. It doesn't matter if you're on bandwagon, off the bandwagon, if you're on again, off again throughout the season. None of that matters. This is about what the Tigers accomplished. But personally, just from me to you, brother, I'm personally proud of you. I think you absolutely crushed Lions season. You did a great job with that. And to see you kind of in your bag with baseball this year with Tigers season, and to be able to have that moment last year, I'm happy. Last night, or when the Tigers clinched, I'm happy for you, man. Friday night, I'm just extremely happy for you. Seeing the videos from that perspective, it's like awesome. You didn't have to wait too long for the teams you covered to give you some wins.
I just want to just a reminder. I'm 2 for 2 right now. I've never covered a team that hasn't made the playoffs.
Now I'm going to have to bring you to Pistons Media Day with me today.
Let's go. Hey, I'm in. Put me in, coach. No, it was cool. There was so much going on the field. I didn't know. I was trying to find interviews and whatnot, but I was able to find Holton, who you guys saw, Holton, Herder, and Sweeney. 3 players who have had a huge impact on this team. Holton all year, the other 2 for parts of the year. And Brant Herder pitched on Friday night. It was 4 innings. He pitched great. So just to get those perspectives, like I was trying to get the SKUBAL interview. I was trying to get the Jackson Jobe interview. But to get the perspectives of those 3, I was really excited to be able to do it. Now this team gets to celebrate. They definitely celebrated Friday night after how they played Saturday and Sunday, but we're not paying attention to that because they got the Astros coming up on Tuesday. What do you guys think of everything that happened Friday, this weekend, this season? Talk to me.
It was beautiful. No, go on ahead, Flannel.
I want to ask you, Roder, because I'm a Riley Green simp.
Yes.
Everybody knows I'm a Riley Green simp. So I wanted to ask you, when he hit that double off the center field wall to drive in the insurance run to make it 3-1, what was the crowd reaction? It seemed like it was just pandemonium.
It was pandemonium. I was actually in the middle of the crowd at that moment. I was up on the second level concourse getting some clips for social. They were singing Sweet Caroline. They were doing the whole rounds, but then he hit that double. People thought it was almost going out, which would have absolutely taken the roof off that roofless stadium, the roofless park. But it was pandemonium. That's a great word to use, Flannel.
Yeah, no, and just to share, and I want to ask you Kool-Aid as well, because I think this is a segment just for the fans at this point. What I was doing when the Tigers clinched, it was actually date night with wifey. I had to multitask a little bit. My wife, she's a big fan of Halloween. She's kind of the spoopy type, which I am not. Look at me. But so we were down in downtown Farmington. There was the Raven Festival or whatever, and they had like a kickoff parade in which the crowd kind of was part of the parade, which was pretty cool. But at 7 o'clock, we moseyed on into Cowley's Irish Pub and watched the whole game from there. And, yeah, when the Riley Green – because you know how we are with, like, our wives who aren't big fans of sports. I'm like, hey, it's Riley Green. Riley Green's up. Yeah. So I was really, really excited. And when he hit that double off the wall, it was just The whole bar, though, was excited. The whole place had Tiger fever, and it wasn't even really a sports
Tigers
bar.
fever.
And, of course, when they clinched, everybody cheered and clapped, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. How about you, Kool-Aid? What was your experience like watching
we're going to
it?
have to capitalize on your Tigers fever thing, because I definitely got
Yeah.
Tigers fever, and I would wear that merch. JB, we're going to have to hook that up. But, you know what, it was epic, man. You know, for me personally, when Friday night to Saturday night, sunset is there, that's Sabbath observation hours, but I'm sitting there checking the scores. My children, we're trying to get them in bed and such. I'm coordinating with some of the social team and just checking out highlights and things, and I'm getting, like, pumped up. My wife is hearing me scream. She's like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, they're going to do it. And then Jeremiah Kid Kool-Aid, he woke up. He was like, Dad, they do it? They do it? I was like, yes. And it was an awesome experience. It was an awesome moment because this was something that we thought they could. We just got a taste of it with the Red Wings. We thought, you know what, is this team going to do it or are they going to let us down? And with the Tigers absolutely coming through that first game, I remember how confident you were. You were like, no, they're clinching Friday night. For them to just get that out the way and to see the celebration and the pandemonium, man, it was epic.
Yep.
It was epic.
And you know what you love about this Tigers team? Because they did it the way that they had to do it, at least after the injuries to the pitching staff and trading Jack Flaherty. You had a bullpen day. You had Hanafi go 2 scoreless. You had Brant Herter, who's been an absolute revelation, going the next 4, only giving up 1 run. You had Will Vest. You had Tyler Holton. You had Jason Foley. Just another marvelous bullpen day. Another scoreless outing from Tyler Holton, which, you know, it's another day that ends in Y. Another it was a 1-out save from Jason Foley, but that was still nice. I love to see it. And, of course, Riley Green, the lone all-star position player on the Tigers, had his one of his superstar moments, which I wouldn't say is a superstar yet, but when you get hits like that, and if he gets some big hits in the playoffs, he is well on his way, and I love to see him get it done in a big spot as well.
And how about this? The Tigers drew 128,108 fans for this entire weekend. And they clinched Friday.
Wait, say that number one more time.
128,108 fans for the final weekend of the season. Their highest 3-game series attendance since July 20th to 22nd, 2012, when the Tigers drew 128,741.
12 years?
Yeah. Because they got fans like Rando Smalls. Thank you, man. $20 super chat. That's amazing. He says, I have to admit, I cried my eyes out. Thought of my dad and Uncle Eddie, the guys that got me watching the Tigers. Thank you, everyone, for experiencing this special season. That's what it was. It was a special season and an incredible culmination on Friday night. Last thing, you talk about Riley Green, too. The first run that scored that game, well, it was a wild pitch, right? It was Jake Rogers, the longest tenured Tiger. He's been around since 2017. Just really cool to see a moment like that come full circle. The best mustache in the game.
That's facts. And
Yeah.
I know that the chat is going to be like, oh, Flannel doesn't like Jake Rogers. That's not true. That's not true. All I ever said that one day is that the catching position is really the one position on the Tigers where there's some questions about productivity with Jake Rogers and Dylan Dingler, and kind of quietly Trey Sweeney as well. But we're not going to talk about that. This is a celebration day.
Wait, what?
What's going on, brother?
I guess we're going to get into it. Celebration day.
It's a celebration. Hey, but you know what? We're live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. That's Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. Hey, and you know what? Maybe we have to take these vets out for a celebration joyrides.
Hey, absolutely.
But hey, you know what? Let me tell you guys about something that's the best. These Tigers making it to the playoffs.
Roar.
That's definitely the best. But Premier Pet Supply is Michigan's best pet store. They offer you the same conveniences and all the prices of the online and the big box retailers, with one major difference. They've been family and locally owned for over 30-plus years, and they carry 60 brands of food, and they have nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local curbside and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply, give your pet the best. You can also visit them online, premierpetsupply.com.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supplies has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody!
Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
To prove that you can get just as strong at Planet Fitness, we're seeing if people can tell the difference between our 75-pound dumbbell and a 75-pound dumbbell from an overpriced competitor gym. Okay, the old flick test, that never fails.
There's literally no difference.
Plus, you can save $28 or more when you join today. Wow.
Why would I pay more to lift the same weights?
It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice Sale. Save $28 or more. Join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. Planet Fitness. Light price, strong choice.
Dispo Romeo, your local cannabis plug, the best place to get all of your cannabis needs in Metro Detroit. They got a location in Romeo where myself and Neil Rule did Big D Energy last Friday, and every single time I walk into that place, it is just immaculate. I don't partake, but for those who do, they always walk out happy. You saw Stick get on camera with his dispo bag with a bunch of his cannabis merchandise, and you know he was satisfied, and you guys are satisfied customers as well. And now you can even get $10 off your next dispo purchase when you purchase $25. You just got to scan that QR code right next to me. Dispo, your local cannabis plug.
And we are back. What up, though, people? Thank you guys for choosing to kick off this kind of Tigers Victory Monday, Lions Game Day Monday, Go Blue Monday, all of the above. I'm sorry, JB Smooth and your Sparties. But you know what? We are live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. And right now, we all got Tigers fever. We're on a Tigers high, man. They make the playoffs. They lock this thing up Friday and give themselves ability to kind of just coast into these playoffs. I know that people weren't necessarily they wanted to see a couple more wins. But you know what? We're not going to let that down anything right now. We made the playoffs.
I was about to say, I see that sentiment just a little bit too much in the chat, and I get it.
That's what I'm saying.
I get it. Me personally, I would rather the Tigers play the Orioles. However, I can't fault a young group of players for having a bit of a clinching and maybe literal hangover on Saturday and Sunday. That's okay.
Yeah.
We get to see playoff baseball for the first time in 10 years. I'm cool.
If they were on such an insane tear, I don't even understand what the mental drain is. What is the weight that you're carrying both physically, mentally, and psychologically? And then when you know you've clinched the playoffs, you know what? Get your mind right at that point in time, because I would rather them be right and clear-headed going into the playoffs. They're a hot team still.
Yep.
I believe that full-heartedly, and I do believe that A.J. Hinch, who's continued to pull the right strings down the stretch, is going to continue to do that as we head into the playoffs against his old team.
Oh, yes. You got to love that. And I want to ask you first, Broder, because you brought up a really good question, and I want to go around the room, at least to Kool-Aid and myself. What was one of, if not maybe just your singular favorite moment for this season? You can choose more than one, but do you have a couple or one that stick out?
Yeah, honestly, the one I really just can't get out of my head, and it might not be the most significant of the season, depending on how you interpret it, but it was that Colt Keith 2-home-run game in Cincinnati. There was something about that weekend that gave the team a little bit of hope. I know they faltered a little bit after that before they got hot in August, but that to me, That showed me all I needed to see about Colt Keith and how he's going to be able to adjust and become a true major league player. There are so many other plays. I'm leaving a couple open in case you guys want them, but I'm going to go with that Colt Keith 2-home run game in Cincinnati. It was like early July.
Yeah, that was a great one because that actually they swept that series, and then they took, I believe, 5 out of 7 from Cleveland and then the Dodgers to end the first half. So yeah, that was. I remember that moment. Wasn't one of them where he had that Ken Griffey pose after he just bombed one to right field?
It was the most beautiful uppercut swing. He held it like for a split second. Iconic photos. You're right.
No, and that's a great one because at that time, before that 2-home run game, Colt Keith's numbers still weren't looking that good. And basically from that moment on, his numbers just kept going up and up and up, and he finished He finished with a hell of a season himself, especially for a rookie. Mine, to the shock of absolutely no one, will involve Riley Green. And it also happened to be on a day in which the Lions lost to the Bucs. It was that day where they had games on the exact same day, in which that was the series against the Orioles. The Tigers took game 1 1-0, and then I actually went to the Saturday game in which the Tigers lost. But that Sunday game, that 12-10 start that occurred almost simultaneously with the Lions game, I still was able to see the first of 2 home runs by Riley Green that day to get that stretch of tough games with the Orioles at home and then the Royals and the Orioles on the road off to a good start. Sometimes when you're the all-star, sometimes when you're the budding star and hopefully future superstar, you just got to put on your Superman cape, and he did that day. 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 3 out of the 4 runs were accounted by Riley Green. It was such a big moment. Such a big win, and one that I don't want people to forget about when they write the book of this season.
And I got to ask you about Riley Green. How much more sweet is that all-star appearance with them validating it with the playoff appearance?
I mean, it's amazing. And I feel like I sometimes still have to fight the good fight. I mean, just remember, guys, and I'm going to get on my soapbox for just 1 second. You guys get on me for all of the bad takes that you want. Yes, Scott Frost. Yes, DeAndre Swift. I get it. But do you remember on that Monday show, right after the Tigers swept the Reds, the series in which Colt Keith had that 2 home run game, when I was doing a show with Terry Foster, when Terry Foster said 2 things. He said, 1, Riley Green should not have been an all-star. And, of course, I had some memorable moments where I freaked out. And 2, and this is not a shot at Colt Keith. I hope you guys don't take it this way. He said that Colt Keith would finish the season with better numbers than Riley Green. And I want to give you some context. At the time, Riley Green's OPS was 200 points higher than Colt Keith's. And Colt Keith is a rookie, and Riley Green is a third-year all-star player. What it would have taken for that to actually occur would have been an absolute tailspin by Riley Green, and for Colt Keith to basically be that month where he was Barry Bonds again and again and again. So if you're going to get on me for my bad takes, how about we give some shade to Terry Foster? I understand why I love him, an absolute legend. Going to do Woodward and May with Matt Broder tomorrow, but just saying. I had to get on my soapbox there for just 1 second, and now we can go back to celebrating.
I love it, man. You know what, man? I love that Riley Green has this year of validation. Like,
yes.
SKUBAL, we already knew what he was. But for Riley Green, I believe that this is a foundation that it's not just a foundation. This is, in my opinion, going to be a launching pad for his career going forward and for this Detroit Tigers team. I don't believe this is just a flash in the pan because they've done this with their core. Now they have the ability to go and build above this. But first, it's the playoffs, and we're celebrating. Yep. The moment that just sticks out to me because I remember the conversation. I remember there being this kind of down aspect of like, you know what? We're looking at this Tiger squad, and if they were just healthy, they could make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you and Broder continue to talk about Kerry Carpenter's not here. His return, 2 home runs, absolute route. That, to me, was a moment that signified, you know what this team could be. And they capitalized on that. To tune of an amazing run, the best team in baseball down the stretch. But that moment right there, to me, was what kind of – it's what – all of this run was basically the emblemization of this entire run right now. Kerry Carpenter coming back, 2 home runs, and being that kind of Kerry Bonds the rest of the way for this team.
And that's a great point because there were times, we're talking about a stress fracture in the lower back when we were like, is he even going to play this year again? And thank goodness he did because if Kerry Carpenter doesn't come back from injury, we're not talking about playoffs with the Tigers right now. But that's fine because Kerry Carpenter is one of your best hitters, and on a per-game basis is the Tigers' best hitter. But, Broder, I want to ask you this question. If you have a Tigers MVP, your Matt Broder Tigers MVP, who would you choose?
Yes, I have a name. Real quick, going back to the last question, because I would have picked this number 1. I thought one of you were going to use it, but the Parker Meadows Grand Slam against San Diego, that was an absolute game, season changer, season-altering hit from Parker Meadows. Right, It was bottom 9, right? Or top 9. Top 9, 2 outs, 2 strikes, grand slam. They win 4-3. But my MVP for the season, and I'll let you go into more detail about him, it's Riley Green. It's Riley Green. He played enough games for me to be comfortable about his health. And it seemed like after the first couple weeks, it seemed like anytime you needed a big hit and he was up, he got it. Obviously, he didn't every single time, but he became that reliable, most valuable player in your lineup, playing every single day. I think I got to put Riley Green there.
Absolutely. And I would agree with you on Riley Green, to the shock of absolutely no one. But first of all, when you look at the team leaders for the Detroit Tigers in terms of all the major stat categories, the first thing you notice is that Riley Green is a qualified batter. That means he had enough at-bats, he played enough games, and we all know Riley Green's first 2 seasons, injuries were a big part of it. And I know Riley Green had a short stint on the injured list this season as well. However, he played 137 games, and when you look at the Tigers, when you look at the qualified hitters who lead their teams in respective stats, when you look at the Tigers page, average Riley Green, home runs Riley Green, RBIs Riley Green, on-base percentage Riley Green, hits Riley Green, and then if you want to expand that further, OPS Riley Green, WAR, wins above replacement Riley Green, and he was doing it the entire season. And I give a lot of credence to that, because we can talk about Parker Meadows and his renaissance when he came back from the minors. However, he played his way into the minors. You can say the same you can say the same thing about Spencer Torkelson. And with Kerry Carpenter, unfortunately, his injury issues were a little bit more problematic. He missed almost half of the season, although when he played, he made a hell of an impact. But Riley Green was there doing it all season long, and there are very few players more important to their respective teams than Riley Green was to this Tigers team from beginning to end.
Yeah, and you know what? I do want to just tip the cap to SKUBAL as well.
Yes.
Finishing the season with that triple crown. Every single one of his starts and wins was absolutely needed this year. But you're right, with Riley Green, the question was, where's the health going to be? And that's what we kind of discussed at the beginning of the season. If he's healthy, we believed he would have, and you stated that, an all-star season. And we saw it happen. That's why I'm so glad that it happens, that what he and SKUBAL have accomplished, what we saw from Parker Meadows, what we saw from Cole Keith, because I was hoping he would start the season hot, but obviously we know later on in the season he absolutely went on some streaks. Kind of that these things are not just like, oh, sweet, yeah, we could have seen what we were going to be with Kerry Carpenter. You know, he came back, we had a cool run, we just missed the playoffs. No, they went and they, like AJ Hinch said, oh, I asked you guys what type of team you want to be. You want to be a playoff team. The fact that they went and they validated all of their personal accomplishments with the ultimate to this point, which is the playoffs, which is the biggest team accomplishment for them at this point. Obviously, you're hoping that the trajectory for this squad somewhere down the road is a World Series, but at least to this juncture, it is really awesome to see this team go and do this.
And it could be this year. Hey, I'm just saying. But, Broder, I want to ask you as well, your most improved player for the Detroit Tigers?
Parker Meadows.
Yeah.
Parker Meadows. And I almost used him as my MVP, but to see the difference, to see how he's improved from the beginning of the season to the end, where he was arguably our most important player by the end of the season, I go with Parker Meadows.
Yep, 857 OPS since being recalled from the minors. Some of the biggest hits, some of the biggest defensive plays you'll see all season. I mean, 857, I know it was a small sample size, but it also happened to be the sample size in which the Tigers went on their run. That's all-star level numbers. He played Gold Glove level defense in center field as well. So Parker Meadows, I know it's a bit of a inter-season improvement, but I don't think anybody knew that we were going to get this for even a stretch from Parker Meadows. So there's really no other answer than Parker Meadows.
And when it coincides with the Tigers' run, then you know what? Who cares if it happens inter-season? You saw exactly the difference he made when he got back from the minors, and I don't know if it was a technique thing. I don't know if it was just a mental thing. I don't know if it's just I gotta hit some hits. I gotta see myself get some hits. But whatever it was, when he got back to this lineup, Parker Meadows was one of the biggest difference makers on this team during the run.
Absolutely, he was. Broder, what about your unsung hero for this Tigers team this season?
My unsung hero is Matt Vierling. It's Matt Vierling. He's just been that steady, reliable bat and defender all year long, being able to play multiple positions, outfield, third base, and we saw first base in the last week of the season. I'm going to go with Matt Vierling as my unsung hero for 2024.
That is a great one, and I think that's obvious, and I would probably pick it myself. But since I knew somebody was going to, I am going to give you somebody that I've sang the praises for a lot lately, Mr. Sean M. effing Gunther. The numbers that he put up when he was, when he was recalled from the minors and came up to the big club, 21 innings, and this all coincided with the Tigers' run. and 0.86 ERA, a 0.52 whip, a 3-0 record, a 6-1 strikeouts to walks ratio. That dude, you might as well call him Sean Rivera or Mariano Gunther, right? And I get it, different positions, but the impact that Sean Gunther made, I can honestly say that if Sean Gunther does not fulfill the role in the bullpen that he did this season, the Detroit Tigers would not be in the playoffs right now. And a lot of us, myself included, didn't even know who Sean Gunther was at the All-Star break. So shout out. That is the definition of unsung.
I know we're talking players, but just real quick before we get into the next segment, shout out to Sky Harris, too.
Yes.
That trade deadline, in my opinion, there was some big decisions to be made. And some of them were the trades that you didn't make in a SKUBAL. Some of them were the trades that you did make that a lot of people overreacted to. Because if you ask a lot of people at that trade deadline, the Detroit Tigers not only shot their season in the foot, but their future in the foot, too, which was crazy to me.
Yeah.
So, Scott Harris, shout out to you, man, for handling that deadline. And those players that you got in return were players that did play some type of role. They needed every single game down the stretch, man.
And just remember, when it comes to Scott Harris, one underrated thing that he's done, you know who he acquired? Tyler Holton. Anywho, one more question before we go to break. Broder, who is your breakout player for the Tigers in 2025, your prediction?
I love going first in all this, and I can just get the good ones out of the way.
Yes.
I think Jace Young. Jace Young over at third base, I think this is a really good starting point for him in the major leagues. The sky's the limit for this dude. He's an offensive-minded player, and he's impressed me playing defense at third base. I think a big 2025 is in store for Jace Young.
I agree 100%. I'm going Jace Young as well. He wasn't the turnstile at third base that he was, build up to be. Like, that's why he can't come to the majors, because he can't play third. I'm not saying it was perfect, but I think he did enough. And I think his prowess at getting on base was worth whatever deficiencies he had at third base. And that's why I'm going with Jace Young as well. A 362 on base percentage. That man just knows how to take walks. I know that he didn't show off his power stroke this season, but in 2022, it was 2023 in the minors, he had 28 home runs that year between both leagues he was in. So the power stroke is there, and I think we're going to see it next year. But just the fact that Jace Young already showed that right approach at the plate in just however many few games he played in his first experience ever in the majors, that told me all that I need to know. Jace Young will be your starting third baseman for the Detroit Tigers in 2025.
I like that. And just really quick, my question to you, too, is this. Who else intrigues you next year? Obviously, if Jace Young is your top, who are a couple other players?
I mean, I want to see what Parker Meadows – I want to see him start off the season strong, because what Parker Meadows has earned this year is a credit line. I'm not saying that – he can go 0-90 again in his first stint up and not even get benched or not get demoted, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I'm not saying that he's going to be an all-star level player next year, but I want to see Parker Meadows be the everyday center fielder and see what he can do. He has earned that right.
Dylan Dingler.
Yes.
Dylan Dingler, that's my guy. I know he hasn't hit that great this season. I really like what I've seen behind the dish out of him. I like how he calls games. The pitchers have confidence in him. And I think his swing isn't far off. It doesn't look ugly. A few minor adjustments, a little more confidence. He could be that starting catcher next year, whether it's alongside Jake Rogers or, until they get to their minor leagues. But they want to see if Dylan Dingler is that dude for the future. I think he could have a big 2025 too. Dylan Dingler.
That's right.
And he's been better lately at the plate. He's had a couple of big hits. He had that big RBI triple to open the scoring in one of their wins at Baltimore.
Would you happen to call it a Dingler bang?
Yeah. No,
but those make a difference.
Yes. So disappointing.
Especially for young guys looking for confidence at the dish. I know that you look at the stats and the overall production in his time in the big leagues probably doesn't look that great. But when you have a handful of big hits like that, that just spurs your confidence to train all offseason. And again, like I said, I don't think his swing is that far off. So a few tweaks, and he could be getting that average up, and he's got the power. He plays defense. He plays good defense, man.
And you know who we haven't talked about enough? TARIK SKUBAL, which is why we have an entire segment dedicated to him, and we're going to talk about that next. But first, I have to tell you about Lady Jane's, where I get this immaculate haircut. And, you know, a lot of other of the personalities at Woodward Sports do as well. You can walk in anytime, 7 days a week, open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Go to any one of their wonderful stylists. The last time I got my hair cut by Mariah, shout out Mariah. So you guys can walk in anytime, get a haircut, get a hot towel neck massage. You can even get a shave. You might want to make an appointment, make things easier, but if you want to walk in, enjoy some sports while you wait, that is available as well. Lady Jane's for men, it is wicked awesome.
To prove that you can get just as strong at Planet Fitness, we're seeing if people can tell the difference between our 75-pound dumbbell and a 75-pound dumbbell from an overpriced competitor gym. Okay, the old flick test, that never fails.
There's literally no difference.
Plus, you can save $28 or more when you join today. Wow.
Why would I pay more to lift the same weights?
It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice Sale. Save $28 or more. Join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. Planet Fitness. Light price, strong choice.
It's bear hunting season, and Dan Campbell is hungry for some kneecaps.
If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them.
The Kings of the North are back for another year of the brand new Lions. Make sure you're locked in to Detroit's #1 sports network for all the news and info on your Detroit Lions.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Hamp for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports. Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Hey, listen, you guys, you know where you got to be for the Lions pregame tonight? To kick things off, second best bar in downtown Detroit. Tonight, the Heavyweights, they are hosting the WSN Lions pregame show for the Lions versus Seahawks. And you guys already know Detroit's going to be jumping down at 42 Watson Street. You guys got to join us down there. And, hey, listen, enjoy some Tullamore Irish whiskey as well while you're catching that pregame show, while you're getting crazy with Lions fans, while you're celebrating the Detroit Tigers in the playoffs. We want to see you guys down there. And what up, though, people? Welcome back. It is Wake Up Woodward. We're live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. This is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership, and I'm telling you guys, I can vouch for the type of people they are. Good people, nice people, funny people. And you see that the customers they're dealing with, they always leave here feeling happy. But Flannel and Broder, they can give you personal testimonies. They have hooked them up, and you can attest to the fact that this car buying experience is one of the best there is in the game.
Oh, like, people don't understand. Being in and out in 3.5 hours with a new car, that sounds like a long time. That's really not a long time at all.
No, not at all.
It was a very smooth experience, and I'm still very, very happy with the vehicle that I still drive. Thank you, Feldman.
Brother?
Yeah, no, me too. Me too. I saw Francis walk in. Francis helped me out.
Yep.
Bought my old car off me, got me into a new lease, a Midnight Edition Blazer. I love it. I love it. It could not be a better experience getting my car here at Feldman. Not just saying that.
Yep.
It truly, truly was the best car buying experience that I had.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? I want to just kind of jump into this next segment. For me, it's a statement, but there's a question mark on there, so I'm going to read it. Like, shout out to Ron Burgundy. TARIK SKUBAL has a Cy Young Award locked up, right?
Duh. Yes.
It's
yes.
a statement.
Yes, no. TARIK SKUBAL, he officially locked up the pitching triple crown. I think the Tigers and the Royals both did the right thing. The Tigers rested TARIK SKUBAL when they clinched, and the Royals rested Cole Reagans when they clinched. And Cole Reagans was about 5 strikeouts behind TARIK SKUBAL, so the fact that he didn't pitch as well, so that he could go one of the first 2 games with the Royals series at Baltimore, it means that TARIK SKUBAL did clinch the pitching the pitching triple crown. Hey, a little Freudian slip there. Also Cy Young soon. But yes, TARIK SKUBAL, there is no competition who deserves Cy Young. Honestly, it should be unanimous.
I'm so glad you finished that, Flannel. It should be unanimous. He was the best pitcher in baseball from start to finish, the best pitcher in the American League from start to finish. And it's nothing against Emmanuel Clase. He had an incredible year as a closer for the Guardians. But this award, this Cy Young Award, is TARIK SKUBAL and TARIK SKUBAL's only. How about this? How about this? You brought up the triple crown. Roger Clemens, Pedro Martinez, Johan Santana, Justin Verlander, and TARIK SKUBAL.
Wow.
Those are the only 5 AL Triple Crown winners in a full season. That's a pretty good group to be in, Mr. SKUBAL.
And you know what? You talked about it. You said from start to finish. And it's not just good consistency. It was great consistency from start of the season. And this was a guy who knew they need every single inning that I could give them, period. Whether he gets run support or not, you knew that SKUBAL was going to give these Tigers an opportunity to win every single game. And that's the thing. It goes beyond just the numbers. He was ultimately one of those stabilizing forces for this team, because if he falters in any of those starts while the Tigers were kind of up and down, where's his squad at the end of the season? For him to be able to kind of have that champion-type mindset the entire season, that's, to me, is what makes him an MVP type of player, a Cy Young type of player, and why you see the stats bear out the way that they do for TARIK SKUBAL.
And I'm just so glad that the Tigers made a playoff run for him, because there was this narrative, and I don't even think it's a narrative. I don't blame people for thinking this, because I was in that camp as well, that we're worried that the Tigers, just organizationally, were going to waste a Cy Young pitching season from TARIK SKUBAL, and they most certainly did not. I think the Tigers validated keeping him by making a run to the playoffs, and TARIK SKUBAL obviously validated the Tigers' faith by having a very, very strong second half, getting some big pitching performances down the stretch when the team needed him most. I love to see it, and I'm so glad that he wrapped up the pitching Triple Crown. And Broder, you already mentioned it. Some of the names, like, you know that there's only been 11 pitchers in the American and National League who have done this since 1985. That is some rarefied air. You mentioned Roger Clemens. You mentioned Pedro Martinez. You mentioned Justin Verlander. And, oh, by the way, TARIK SKUBAL's ERA in this season is better than Justin Verlander's ERA was in his MVP season with the Tigers. That's some pretty rarefied air. And, you know, Roger Clemens, we all know that he's at least probably has the greatest resume when it comes to starting pitchers in MLB history. But Toronto Blue Jays Roger Clemens, that was different. And this is the company that now TARIK SKUBAL keeps. And in one of Roger Clemens's Triple Crown seasons, TARIK SKUBAL's ERA this season is better than what Roger Clemens's was, I believe, in 1997. So that is, like I said, when we talk about rarefied air, we're talking about some of the best to ever do it. Pedro Martinez, back when he was in his prime. And Pedro Martinez, man, from 97 to 03, that's the greatest 7-year stretch you'll ever see from a pitcher, right in the heart of the steroid era. TARIK SKUBAL is in the same room with Pedro Martinez, at least when it comes to pitching Triple Crown seasons. You also got to look at 2011 Clayton Kershaw. If we're going to the National League, Clayton Kershaw is one of the greatest regular season pitchers I think any of us have ever seen. We got to talk about Randy Johnson in 02, another Hall of Famer, another person who TARIK SKUBAL is right in the same room with, at least when it comes to this accomplishment. And, of course, when we talk about pitching seasons, what an honor it must be for TARIK SKUBAL to have his season be in the same room in terms of the pitching Triple Crown accomplishment as 1985 Dwight Doc Gooden, which for my money is the greatest pitching season ever. In 1985, Gooden was 24-4 with a 1.53 ERA. The greatest start to a pitching career you'll ever see. It just kind of fizzled out a bit. So TARIK SKUBAL is right up there with some absolute legends, some absolute Hall of Famers, some of the best to ever do it, and you just love to see it.
You love to see it. You know why, especially heading into the playoffs. You know why you love to validate this? Because SKUBAL is exactly the type of pitcher that you need to go into the players and F things up. Absolutely say, you know what, I know what the seedings are. I know what teams you guys are probably betting on right now. But if you're telling me 3 games, you got to win 2. SKUBAL's on the mound game 1. Yeah. I believe that pressure is on whoever the opposing team is to get something done. They have to go out there and try to find a way to master SKUBAL.
Yes.
Think about that.
Well, and the reason why me and Broder both agreed that the AL Cy Young should be unanimous is that TARIK SKUBAL was the best pitcher in the American League by far this year, the best starting pitcher, the best pitcher, period. So I understand that the Houston Astros have a couple of formidable pitchers in Ronel Blanco and Framber Valdez, which we're going to talk about more tomorrow. However, TARIK SKUBAL absolutely lapped the field with both of them. And if we want to talk about future matchups, we're talking about potentially playing the Orioles with Corbin Burns, and then who himself is a phenomenal pitcher, but he's not what TARIK SKUBAL is. And even if they have to play the Yankees or the Guardians, none of those two teams have a starting pitcher even in the same stratosphere of what TARIK SKUBAL is this season. So if you've got that, if that man is on our side, which he is, you feel confident that they can win damn near any series, especially these short ones. A 3-game series is tailor-made for a TARIK SKUBAL to just get that one win out of the way and put all of the pressure on the Astros.
And that's why I push back on the notion from fans. I saw some fans, even down the stretch, was like, why make the playoffs just to get in and get rolled? I'm like, do you understand how baseball works? Like, look,
no, they don't.
I don't know more than our baseball ball knowers. But what I do know of it, the times that I did play, if you have a hot pitcher, if you got the guy in a series, you have a chance. That is baseball. And this Tigers team is proven they can get the situational hits right now. So you're talking about SKUBAL plus a bunch of guys that we know can hit a big home run if you need it. Yes, I'm taking those chances anytime. I do not care what the records are. I don't care who you got on the other side because nobody has figured out SKUBAL. That gives the Detroit Tigers a great chance to go into any series, like you said, not just win it. I mean, not just go up 1-0, but win those series. Because in the second game, now all of a sudden you're dealing with the wizardry, and I know we're going to talk about them in the next segment, but now you're dealing with the wizardry of A.J. Hinch just saying, hey, you know what? You're going to see 7 pitchers this game. I don't care.
Yes.
Figure it out.
And just to clarify, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm just disregarding these other teams. It was more pro SKUBAL. CDAW in the chat.
Exactly.
Dude, Cole is a dude. What's he talking about? He's talking about Garrett Cole for the New York Yankees. And I understand. that Garrett Cole is a formidable pitcher. He's had a lot of success in Major League Baseball. He's won a Cy Young. However, this season, the one in which he started off hurt, he wasn't even the best starting pitcher on his own team. And Garrett Cole is somebody who has a history of postseason struggles. So I'm not saying to disregard Garrett Cole. I'm saying that TARIK SKUBAL this season laps the field with every single starting pitcher in the American League, including Garrett Cole.
How about this? 7 of the last 8 wild card series, 3-game series, have been 2-game sweeps. The team that wins game 1 wins 87% of the time. Yep. You have the best pitcher in baseball starting game 1. You go win that game. You take care of business. And then don't let Mark Ryan or anyone else tell you in game 2, oh, boy, I wish we had Flaherty. Wish we had Jack Flaherty for this. No, we have A.J. Hinch. And we have Chris Fetter. And that is perfectly fine for a game 2 and a game 3. You got SKUBAL game 1. I don't care if Flaherty's on this team or not. You got A.J. Hinch pulling all the strings in games 2 and game 3. I'm confident. I'm confident any team they play. We got SKUBAL game 1.
That might be the clip. That might be clip. Hey, what are we getting
Unload the clip. We got SKUBAL game 1, the best pitcher in baseball.
That's it.
We're going to be breaking down the series tomorrow, by the way, the Astros-Tigers series. But a reminder, we got SKUBAL game 1.
Bro, I could tell as well as we continue to work up to the SKUBAL segment, it was really difficult to try and keep the SKUBAL love contained until we got to this segment because he's a monster, man. But the Detroit Tigers have given us so much to talk about. We got a little bit more to talk about before we get into Detroit Lions. What's next up, man?
Hey, first, I have to tell you about the Boys and Girls Club. Hey, they've got a youth football league. You can sign up right now, $175 per child. And if you win, if you get to the championship game, you get a chance to play at Ford Field. It's a great organization. They got locations in Detroit, Highland Park, Belleville, East Point, I believe. Sign your kids up for the Boys and Girls Club. And you know what? Have these guys maybe become future Detroit Lions someday. How about being real prophetic and playing at Ford Field and they meet with the Detroit Lions someday? Boys and Girls Club.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
To prove that you can get just as strong at Planet Fitness, we're seeing if people can tell the difference between our 75-pound dumbbell and a 75-pound dumbbell from an overpriced competitor gym. Okay, the old flick test, that never fails.
There's literally no difference.
Plus, you can save $28 or more when you join today. Wow.
Why would I pay more to lift the same weights?
It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice Sale. Save $28 or more. Join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. Planet Fitness. Light price, strong choice.
Hey, listen, now more than ever, it is time for you to have your current insurance provider reviewed. Why? And Swiss will help you with this. They'll make sure that they're not slipping in anything extra. They're here for your protection. All you got to do is call our guy, Mark, at Swiss Insurance, or visit them online, SwissINS.com. I see KG and JB over there in the sound and the TD space, man. But, hey, yep, look. Contact Swiss today, and they'll make sure that you guys are taken care of. Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. We are live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership, and it's electric, man. Tigers make the playoffs. The Detroit Lions got a Monday night game. The Detroit Red Wings are playing 2 games tonight at 7 p.m., and they're going to be streaming both of them at the same time.
Man.
And the Pistons have media day today. A little bit of taste of that October in the D, man.
Oh, what a beautiful time. What a time to be alive. Everybody seems to be relevant right now. The Pistons still got the Pistons still have some work to go, but
they do that to all of us, bro.
Yes, yes.
And the Tigers, though, we don't have October in the D if they don't make the playoffs.
Yep.
We're gonna have all 4 teams playing actual games in the month of October, and if, depending on how far the Tigers go, we might get the actual rare occasion where all 4 teams are active either on or around the same day or weekend. That would be epic.
Oh, yes. And one person who certainly deserves a lot of credit for the Detroit Tigers' success this season is manager A.J. Hinch, who, again, I never lost faith in.
Never.
Don't let this silly thing like video evidence of me saying it sway you from the fact that I never lost. I'm kidding.
That
obviously.
was AI.
No, I'm obviously kidding. That was one of my worst takes of all time. It aged terribly. But so I'll start with Broder, somebody who's believed in him this entire time, and you were proven right. Is A.J. Hinch the no-doubt manager of the year this season?
To me, he is. To me, getting into the playoffs makes it a no-doubter. I could see if they don't get into the playoffs, you would give it to me. Stephen Vogt of the Guardians is the only other one in the running. But I think getting this team from where they were, getting this roster to what they are currently still, as much as we love them, let's really look at that roster. For him to get this team into the postseason after that start, after the first half of the season, it's a managerial job for the ages. I think it's a no-doubter.
I like that, a managerial job for the ages. And as we were coming down the stretch, to me, he was a person I was saying, yes, definitely. And if you get into the playoffs, like you said, that's one of those validating, as we say, with SKUBAL and with Riley Green, how their seasons are now capped off perfectly with this playoff opportunity. A.J. Hinch, and you talk about the storylines right now going up against his former team. Yeah, I believe that this guy has done the best job managing it with the talent or lack thereof.
And before I pass it back to you, Flannel, how he's done it too. Like, I've never seen a manager manage so much. Yeah. Like, I've never seen anything like this. I've seen managers who like to, bunt or hit and run or just, be active throughout the game, really play the matchups, but not playing everyone off your bench most games. Like, every single game he's pulling strings, and it's worked.
Yeah, and to me, yes, A.J. Hinch is manager of the year. And my criteria was the Tigers had to make the playoffs for him to get manager of the year, and they did that. So I'm going to give my flowers. And it's the way that it was done, as Broder said. But I'm going to fixate on the bullpen days and the way that A.J. Hinch had to shift his whole managerial style this year when he needed to. Because remember, at the beginning of the season, you had, TARIK, SKUBAL, Jack Flaherty, Reese Olson, Casey Mize, and Kena Maeda. They had a full pitching staff that looked on paper that it was going to be pretty good. We obviously know what happened to Maeda, and then you saw Jack Flaherty get traded at the deadline. You saw Casey Mize and Reese Olson both miss extended time with injuries. But the way that A.J. Hinch was able to manage those bullpen days is an absolute thing of beauty. Because as you said, Broder, when you're managing a bullpen day, you're going to be using a bunch of pitchers. You're going to have to make decisions. It's not like when SKUBAL starts where you can just throw him out there and he's probably going to go 7 and you can just kind of chill. These bullpen days, especially when you have somebody go 1 and then somebody go 2 and then 4 and then 3, that's tough. And you also have to worry about keeping those arms fresh, which is another challenge in and of itself, especially with the amount of bullpen days they had. I actually counted with the Tigers. When it comes to just pure bullpen days, I count 33 of them. Most of them in the second half, and that's not all.
Dakota Mullet in the chat said, A.J. Hinch is a mad scientist with baseball. And for me, I'm very confident that this is something he will be able to continue to do here with this Detroit Tigers team. That was what was so crucial for me this season. It was to see how Scott Harris's vision, how does that come more into fruition as the season goes on and he gets more time on the job as he's approaching 2 years officially on the job. And Scott Harris, is he able to not just kind of coach up the players that are already in the system, but based on the players that Scott Harris and the budget that he's able to do, can A.J. Hinch work the magic here? And that's what made me ultimately bullish about this team this season, is that I believed A.J. Hinch was going to be the type of manager that was going to be able to go into the season and find a way to get those situational hits and honestly ride a hot pitching staff the entire season.
But even we didn't anticipate the bullpen days that he'd have to navigate.
No, not at all.
That's a challenge that's
not at all
new to modern baseball, honestly. Sometimes you get those unplanned ones when your starter gets shelled, but this was the only way that the Tigers were going to win moving forward. I think we all thought the season was over at many points throughout the year, but especially when Reese Olson went down, it's like, all right, we're just going to pack it in, and Jack Flaherty got traded. It was like, this season is over, but the Tigers didn't listen to any of us. A.J. Hinch didn't listen to any of us. Guys like Brendan Hanafy and Holton and Brisky and Sean Gunther, they didn't listen to any of us, and those are the guys that were relied upon heavily to complete these bullpen days. And I got to get this out there. Players got to play. Gunther being this good, nobody could have anticipated it. Same with Hanafy as well. You got Holton, you got Brisky starting games. All of that is well and good, but being able to manage these guys, being able to put them in the best situations, not leave them out for too long, not have them face, if you're a left-hander who favors righties, set those matchups up right so that each player can be put up in a perfect position. You absolutely love to see it. And to further my point about the 33 bullpen days, you also had some unplanned pseudo bullpen days in the last couple weeks of the season, because Cater Montero, he had 3 starts in September in which he went less than 5 innings. That turns into a bullpen day. Reese Olson, all of his starts when he came back, when he was on a pitch count, went less than 5 innings. And the Tigers were 3-0 in those games. Casey Mize was 2-0 when Casey Mize had 2 starts in which he went less than 5 innings in September, and the Tigers were 2-0 in those games. So if I'm doing my math correctly, and the Montero starts where he went less than 5, the Reese Olson starts where he went less than 5, and the Casey Mize starts in which he went less than 5 in September, the Tigers were 6-2 in those games.
Wow.
Those are, again, managing that bullpen, getting them in the best situations possible, and shout out to Chris Fetter as well, which, Chris Fetter's not here without A.J. Hinch.
Yeah.
That was his first hire. That was Hinch's first hire. He and Fetter are in lockstep. You got to go take care of Fetter this offseason. Maybe your most important contract to get straightened out this offseason. That there's a ripple effect of keeping SKUBAL, of bringing guys to town when you have Fetter on the payroll. Last thing I'll bring up real quick, because Dakota Mullet points out a great point. He says he really is changing the game of baseball. He says completely pushing the button on the Control-Alt-Delete to bad starting pitching completely out of the game, thus making – it looks like a two-parter. But nonetheless, how he's approaching these bullpen days, how he's using the opener. I'm not going to say the entire game of baseball is going to change, but next year we're going to see managers around the MLB start to deploy strategies like this on a week-to-week basis. Maybe they strategize having one built-in bullpen game a week. One less big-time starting pitcher you have to go sign in free agency. There's going to be a lot of ripple effect from that. This is just the first domino to fall. AJ Hinch has proven it can work. Can it work over a full season, how they're doing it? I don't know about that, but you could see 1 or 2 games in a rotation starting going to a bullpen day.
Hinch just, aside from understanding the technical aspect of small ball, and other teams can try and replicate that from a technical aspect, like Dan Campbell, it just feels like A.J. Hinch has a feel for this.
He does.
Beyond just the technical aspect.
It's the feel for it and the ability to be a leader of these young guys. And he did it in Houston, too, when he was with that Astros team. And I'm so glad he's having success now, aside from, the scandal years ago. But that Houston team, they were young. They were homegrown. It was the Altuves and Springers and Bregmans coming up the ranks. That requires not only a top-notch managering on the field, but also that leadership to develop those players at the major league level. That is a perfect example to start with the Astros. He's now done that like times 10 with this Tigers team, because it's about 95% of their roster are, under 24 years old. It's insane. That's crazy.
I want to ask this one question to Broder before we go to break, because I think it's important. Do you think they award A.J. Hinch with Manager of the Year?
I actually think they give it to Stephen Vogt. I hope they don't. And he's had a fantastic year. Like, there's nothing against his year, but and they've been good from start to finish. So it's not like the adversity. He's had the story of overcoming adversity. But I do think they overachieved. If I said before the season, I thought the Tigers had a shot to win the AL Central because I didn't think the Guardians were going to be that good. I thought the Royals were going to be okay. I thought the Twins were going to be down and the White Sox were going to be horrible. The Guardians from day one have been there and have been at the top. I just think, for me, if you really look at this team and how much Hinch has had to manage, I think you got to give it to him. To me, he's the lock. He should get it.
Yeah, to me, A.J. Hinch is Manager of the Year, but I just want to, and I don't want to be the wet blanket. This isn't what I'm trying to do. They might give it to Stephen Vogt. And Stephen Vogt, he's the first-year manager of the Cleveland Guardians. He has had himself a year as well, because Cleveland, let me just give you the stat about Stephen Vogt so you remember this, if they give it to him. The Cleveland Guardians had the least amount of quality starts in the American League this year. They were missing Shane Bieber and their offseason acquisition, Alex Cobb, for damn near the whole year. Stephen Vogt had to pull together some pseudo bullpen days when he threw like Carlos Carrasco or Tristan McKenzie out there or Logan Allen. And that bullpen for the Guardians, I know Emmanuel Clase is a superstar, but the way that some of these guys like Hunter Gaddis and Eli Maggin and Tim Herron and Cade Smith, who's a rookie, took leaps themselves, Stephen Vogt's in the conversation. To me, it should be A.J. Hinch 1, Stephen Vogt 2. But if Stephen Vogt gets it, I caution you Tigers fans, and myself included, against getting too outraged.
Similar to probably Dan Campbell last year. It's just a couple well-deserving candidates. But where A.J. Hinch is going to be somebody that can definitely kind of make a name, regardless of if he wins that award or not. Go in there and beat your old team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, imagine – I'm not going to go there yet. Too far. Beat the Astros. Beat the Astros. I was about to get a little bit too wilded out at that point. But you know where you can never wild out? Actually, you can. Soroki's.
Hey, we're going to have Soroki's tonight.
We are going to have Soroki's tonight. And, if you guys want to wild out, have your cheat day at Soroki's. Maybe get yourself a pizza and some chicken. You can, because they've got the best crispy chicken and pizza that you are ever going to find. I'm not just saying this because they're our sponsor. I mean, everybody who goes to the watch party sees how I put it down at the watch party, so you know how much I love it. They've got wings. They've got a special when it comes to pizza and wings. They've got chicken. They've got biscuits, pretty much everything you want, and they've got locations all over Metro Detroit. If you live in Metro Detroit, there's probably one just a short drive away. Soroki's, crispy chicken, and pizza.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
1800 tequila, the best tequila in the game. You saw on the last watch party. We might even do it again tonight. Myself, Neil Rule, and Justin all took a shot of it. Don't let my pain face deceive you. It was real smooth. And they, all of the watch parties and the postgame shows are brought to you by 1800 Tequila. So try some, and maybe if you watch the watch party tonight, you'll see me take a shot of tequila on air. And who doesn't want to see that? 1800 Tequila.
Hey, tequila flannel? That might be a little bit wilder than long drink flannel.
I mean, I should probably keep it to a minimum tonight because I'm already going to be on, no
football.
sleep anyway. So
it's Monday night. We want hungover flannel tomorrow morning.
For the health of myself and my family.
My family.
I mean, mental health. Mental health.
I love it, man.
Anyway.
Hey, what up, though, people? Welcome back. It is Wake Up Woodward. We're live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. We got done talking about the Detroit Tigers over the first hour of the show. Still in our hearts, still beaming with excitement for the fact that this team did the unthinkable and they went and clinched the playoffs, and that starts Tuesday. But now, it's that TLB word to Broder time. The real ones in the chat understand what that is. It's time to talk Lions. Detroit Lions, Monday Night Football versus the Seahawks. What up, though, Matt Broder, man? We got to start things off with the injury updates, because if there is one thing that I probably underestimated as it relates to, the Lions have exactly what they need to get right back. Injuries can absolutely derail a season. Tonight, Ragnow's out. Iffy's out. Branch is doubtful. Rakestraw questionable. Laporta, McNeil, Levi O, who had some questionable reports, they are expected to play. But the Seahawks, they got a whole litany of players that are out. Whole litany of players, including rookie. One of the rookies we were pretty high on, Byron Murphy. But K9, he is expected to play. There were some questions surrounding him as well. When you're looking at the Detroit Lions versus the Seahawks, for me, this is beat the Seahawks. Aaron Glenn have a game. But what is your initial thoughts? Lions, Seahawks, Monday Night Football.
I mean, my initial thoughts are whoever withstands their injuries better wins. I think it's as simple as that, because you look at the Seattle Seahawks, you mentioned it.
Yep.
This season, they have actually vastly improved their pass rush over the previous couple, and I don't know how much Mike McDonald has to do with that. I would expect some, because I think he's a really young, promising coach, and he's a great defensive mind, so there's a lot to do with that. However, it also had a lot to do with the fact that Boye Mafe is figuring it out, that Byron Murphy looked like a promising rookie, and we all know Leonard Williams is a veteran stalwart on the defensive line, and none of those guys are going to play, and neither is Nwosu, who I don't believe has played at all this season, but there were some thoughts that maybe he would. He is not either. So that means that you would think that this is a game where the Lions could dominate on the ground and they could keep Jared Goff upright, maybe not even allow a sack of him. However, the Lions themselves are going to have to withstand Frank Ragnow being out. And that's a big deal, because Frank Ragnow is the best center in the game. And I do think that the Lions are equipped to handle it. If you put Glasgow at center and maybe Coyote at the guard position, I think that this Lions offensive line will be able to handle it, especially with the Seattle Seahawks defensive line being so depleted. But we got to see it. So I think up front, a lot of this game is going to be decided by who withstands the injuries better.
Yeah, we got to see it. And this year, I believe that the secondary is in a much better position than it was last year for these Detroit Lions. It was interesting seeing CJ talking and going viral all over social media. And you know what? He was probably the guy that made the most amount of noise last year as it relates to the Seahawks-Lions game, and we know how that ended. I don't believe that we're going to see that this year with the Detroit Lions. But, Matthew Broder, your initial thoughts, man, on this Detroit Lions-Seahawks Monday Night Football game.
My thoughts are exactly the same as New World Entertainment LLC and Austin Briggs in the chat. He says, I think Graham can hold it down one game. And Austin Briggs says, pound the rock with Gibbs and Montgomery. Let's not forget, Graham Glasgow has experience doing this. He's not a first or a second-year player. This isn't his first time playing center. I think he can definitely hold it down a game, especially when the Seahawks, who have the second-ranked, they're the second-best team in terms of pressures this season. They're losing 90% of their pressures with Mafe, Leonard Williams, and Byron Murphy out. So this is an opportunity for Graham to get us to be able to fill in for Frank Ragnow, which was part of the value in re-signing him for 3 years, $20 million, that he can play both guard positions and you can slide him over to play center if you don't have your center for the future on the roster already. If a guy like Kingsley isn't ready yet, or any of the guys that they drafted clearly aren't ready yet. So it's Graham Glasgow's chance. And then Coyote slides into left guard too. Coyote, Michael Neese. I think they can hold it down. I still think they got to pound it with Gibbs and Montgomery to set up that play action.
And
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say really quickly, from the start of the season, I believe that should have always been the perspective. We understand Ragnow, we understand Decker when they're out there, what they're going to be. But we also understand that you have to be able to insulate for the fact that they may get injured. They ran into it, some of that last year, and guess what? They were able to weather those storms. And so I do, in terms of what you're saying, Broder, I'm confident that they will figure it out.
Yeah, and you alluded to this, Broder. I think that in this particular game, this Lions O-line, even with Frank Ragnow out, they have an opportunity because on paper, with all of this is taking into account the injuries that the Seahawks have suffered and will be these players they'll be without tonight. I think this is going to be one of the more weak defensive fronts that the Lions will face. When you factor in injuries, of course, because, I mean, Boye Mafe, man, he's about to have himself a double-digit sack season. He really has figured it out. He had a really good year last year, but he was on an absolute tear. We know about Leonard Williams. Byron Murphy is promising. I already went into that. So I think that this is a matchup in which the Lions are equipped to handle the loss of Ragnow. But I'm also thinking, man, if Ragnow were healthy, I think this Lions offensive line would just maul the Seahawks. I still hope that they can, but that's why injuries are so important. And I saw this from Ed O'Neill because I think this is very important to address as well. Are people underselling how important Branch is? Absolutely not, because I was going to go to that. I think that this Lions secondary is much better equipped to handle the Seattle receiving core and by extension Geno Smith, which they have not done the last couple of years. Not even close. However, with Brian Branch being doubtful, that could put a monkey wrench in some things. I'm not saying that it's going to be what cost the Lions the game, but Brian Branch with his versatility at the safety position and his ability to maybe guard SN if need be, that is going to be missed because this Seattle receiving core, they're 3 deep of really good players. I mean, DK Metcalf is a star. Tyler Lockett, I think, has fallen off a little bit, but JSN, this is a different Jackson Smith and Jigba is who I'm talking about. JSN, this is a different JSN. I think he's figured some things out that he struggled with in his rookie year. So not having Branch in the Lions secondary, that could be I don't want to say a problem, but something to be mindful of.
It's odd to think that, take Penei Sewell and Jared Goff out of the mix. You say Frank Ragnow's gone, and that might not be the most important injured player for the Lions in a week. It feels weird to say, but I think uniquely to this week that Brian Branch may be a bigger loss. And he's doubtful. We all know what doubtful means. He's probably not going to play. But considering what Seattle can do and has been doing this year on offense, considering K9's healthy, are expected to play with Charbonnet and the 3-headed monster. We haven't even talked about the tight ends that ate the Lions alive last year in Pete Carroll's offense. Brian Branch is one of those dudes that you want in coverage, and you also want to cover the flats. We know how good Charbonnet and K9 are good catching the ball out of the backfield. I think Branch being out could be a bigger loss this week than Frank being out.
And, because I was going to ask you guys about, these key matchups. And maybe we can talk about it a little bit more in the next segment. And outside of what we know the strength of this team is, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, I am looking at how this secondary responds overall to Geno Smith, who's had some success, not just against the Detroit Lions, but also to start this year.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I do think, and I don't even think this, I know this, that at least on the corner positions, the Lions are a lot better. I mean, Amik, Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, I'm confident in that group moving forward, and I'm also confident in Kirby Joseph. I mean, how could you not be? But Brian Branch, man, Brian Branch, I still think out of all of the Lions secondary players that he is the big dog. He's the one that has the potential to be a multiple-time All-Pro, maybe a gold jacket guy someday. And you've seen it with the way that he's played this year. And him being out, compounded, or him being doubtful and compounded with Iffy not having played yet. Like I said, I'm not saying that it's going to cost the Lions the game. I'm just saying, I mentioned it with JSN. You mentioned it, Rotor, with covering K9 Charbonnet out of the flats. With Noah Fant as well, their tight end. That this is going to be tough for the Lions. Do I think they'll be able to withstand it? Yes. Do I think that they'll give up as many points and yards as they did to the Seahawks the last 2 years? Abso-freaking-lutely not. But Brian Branch is that dude. We all know how good Brian Branch is, so you'd rather have him on the field. I'd feel a lot more confident if he was on the field.
Definitely, especially when you look at last year, that the secondary began to kind of fall apart. You know, in that Seahawks game, effectively. Yeah. Now you're looking at it this year, and you're like, you know what? The secondary might not be at full strength, but Aaron Glenn has had this defense humming to start the season. And that's where I'm looking forward to him going in and being able to exercise those demons tonight against the Seahawks. I believe this defense is going to be schematically on point, and at that point in time, it's about the intangibles. We know that Brian Branch, scheme or not, is going to make sure tackles. So if he's there or if he's not, and the other guys that are not playing, the guys that are you going to step up and make those surefire tackles? I believe Aaron Glenn is going to have these guys in the right spot. He's done it all season.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of this Aaron Glenn defense, we talk about this Seahawks offensive line. I mentioned it on the last show that we did together, that Charles Cross, their left tackle, he's good. He's a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. However, on the right side, George Fant, their starter, he's out. So that's an opportunity for the Lions to maybe play a chess match. Who do you have lining up over the Seahawks backup tackle? Do you have Aiden Hutchinson so that they have to double, or do you have somebody like a Josh Pascal or a Levi Onwuzurike so that it's more likely that they get their pressure from their side? It's interesting, and that's where Aaron Glenn comes in. And I think we've seen this year that when Aaron Glenn is given more talent, he has absolutely shined. So I trust him a lot more at this time this year than I did at this time last year.
Definitely. That's the word. Let's get more into it. It's a lot more the Detroit Lions we have to talk about. What bills do we pay here?
Sabbath Coffee.
Sabbath Coffee. That is right. I was like, you know what? I have to say something. But listen, guys, it's a game day. And it's a lot going on this week. We already talked about it, right? Like October in the D. You guys got to make sure you stay fueled up. And Sabbath Coffee Roasters is absolutely the way to do it. Make sure you guys go and check them out. Sabbath Coffee Roasters on socials, in stores. And make sure that you get you got to use code Woodward too. They give you some discounts. So if you're ordering online, you'll get some discounts if you're using code Woodward to get your Sabbath Coffee Roasters, man. It's Lions season. It's Tigers playoffs. Red Wings and Pistons are getting underway. Make sure you get the Sabbath Coffee to keep you going.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Congratulations to the real coach of the year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
To prove that you can get just as strong at Planet Fitness, we're seeing if people can tell the difference between our 75-pound dumbbell and a 75-pound dumbbell from an overpriced competitor gym. Okay, the old flick test, that never fails.
There's literally no difference.
Plus, you can save $28 or more when you join today. Wow.
Why would I pay more to lift the same weights?
It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice Sale. Save $28 or more. Join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. Planet Fitness. Light price, strong choice.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Planet Fitness, fitness that fits your budget. They've got locations all over Metro Detroit and all over the United States. And they've got a cheap membership. You can also upgrade to the black card to get all of the perks like the spa and the
Hydro massage.
Yes,
I got
I'm
you.
not great at ad-libbing reads, but you know what? It is all well and good. We all go to Planet Fitness here at Woodward Sports, and that's how we stay in such good shape as we do, and you guys should do it too. They've got all of the amenities that you could possibly need, all of the machines, whether you want to work arm day, leg day, back day, abs, it doesn't matter. Planet Fitness has you covered because it's Planet Fitness where your fitness is essential.
Essential. Welcome back, people. It is Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you, chat family, for choosing to kick off today with the WUW Crew live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. And as always, you all are the most important part of this thing. So go on ahead and smash that like button to support the WUW Crew. Go ahead and smash that like button in celebration of the Detroit Tigers making it to the playoffs. And we got Monday night Detroit Lions football right here in the city. Once again, Detroit is on the main stage, and all eyes are on these Lions this year. And this is one of those narratives. This is one of those spots on the way to the ultimate prize. This is a battle that they have to be able to overcome. Aaron Glenn versus the Seattle Sea Biscuits, Sea Bags, Sea Whores, whatever you want to call them. I don't care. Beat the Seahawks, man, period. And you know what? You raised up a pretty good question from a strategy standpoint when we're talking about Aaron Glenn, and that's what to do against this offensive line of the Seattle Seahawks, because I believe that's where you're going to really have an advantage. How do you utilize Aiden Hutchinson? And I actually kind of like your idea of saying, you know what, let's match up some of the other guys that you need pressures from up with the backups, because I believe that the Aiden Hutchinson we've seen this year, you're not stopping him. Yeah, like I don't even see people realistically slowing him the way that we saw last year, and I believe it's because he has a different approach to the quarterback, a different technique, and I'm not seeing him overrun. He's able to have the pressure, get into the backfield, whether he's double-teamed and then getting a chip, and still able to force the quarterback out the pocket if he's not making the quarterback hit or getting the sack.
Well, and that's where I have confidence in Aiden Hutchinson, because I mentioned how good Charles Cross is. I truly believe that the only tackle in the National Football League that can really limit Aiden Hutchinson one-on-one for an entire game is his teammate. So we're not even worried about that. Again, no disrespect to Charles Cross, but I expect no matter what the matchup that Aiden Hutchinson has, whether it's Charles Cross, whether it's the backups, that he is going to get home and be an absolute game wrecker in damn near every game he plays. Because another thing, if you're an offensive lineman, you got to deal with that motor. That man just never stops. What's the old adage about some defensive ends that and some defensive linemen that they take plays off, which I think is overblown anyway? You would never say that about Aiden Hutchinson, because he doesn't. You see that way that man is huffing and puffing at the end of every game. That is because he gives it everything that he has. And not only is he a high energy and high effort guy, the athleticism, the talent, the pass rush movements, that damn spin move, which is turning into maybe the best in the National Football League. Hutch is going to eat. And Hutch is going to win Defensive Player of the Year at the end of the season.
Let's go. Woo! And you know who first called that? One Mr. Matthew Broder. What up, dog?
I feel pretty good about the Defensive Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year selections at this point in time.
Yeah,
Eagles are I don't know what to make about them after yesterday.
You think Chase is rethinking his Washington Commanders take?
No, he'll just make excuses. He'll just make excuses. That's okay.
Shout out to my Offensive Rookie of the Year pick.
And absolutely. And mine isn't looking as good either because I picked Caleb Williams. And this isn't me picking on Chase. It's just I've gone out on a limb many times and been wrong. Chase went out on a limb there and looks like it's going to be a bad pick. Just accept it. I've accepted DeAndre Swift leading the NFC in rushing. I've accepted that Scott Frost would have a renaissance season in his last year at Nebraska, in which he got fired mid-season. Just accept it, Chase. You're going to be wrong on the Commanders being the number 32 team in the NFL.
Very wrong. Very wrong. Very wrong. You know what I'm looking forward to seeing in this matchup tonight?
Talk to you, brother.
Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Devon Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Like I think this is a matchup for the ages. This is one of the better. He's a corner. He played a lot he played a lot of nickel his rookie year, but he can play all over the place. I see him getting a lot of time on Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I see St. Brown being an important piece to this Detroit Lions offense tonight if they're going to go beat Seattle.
That is a matchup of the Titans in some ways. When you look at this particular game, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Devon Witherspoon, because Witherspoon was one of the best slot corners in all of the NFL last year. And as you said, he can play all around, but when you're going up against Amon-Ra St. Brown, if I were the Seahawks, I would have, and I'm not sure if they do this, I would probably have Devon Witherspoon shadow Amon-Ra St. Brown and then maybe mark a TARIK Woolen with J-Mo. Big matchups because the Seattle Seahawks secondary, it's formidable. I didn't even mention Julian Love, who's having himself a hell of a year. Rayshon Jenkins was somebody who was pretty good in Jacksonville and has been a nice addition to that team. So this passing offense versus the Seattle Seahawks secondary, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see. But I also think this is the game where Jared Goff really rights the ship and has his first start-to-finish good game of the season.
There you go, because I was going to say, you know what? Aside from anything that he can do to hand the ball off or that Amon-Ra St. Brown to do to have a good game, Jared Goff has to have a clean game. Jared Goff has to have one of those games where he looks completely in control of the offense. I don't care if he's throwing 180 yards or 270 yards. I care that he plays clean and that offense is humming the way that we saw them as they got into the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping to see out of Jared Goff in this game tonight. And you're right. He's the one who, when we're talking about matchups, I think sometimes it's easy to forget about Amon-Ra St. Brown because we just expect him to do what he's supposed to do. With David Montgomery, it's easy to say just hand him the rock. But we've seen that if Jared Goff doesn't play a clean game, it takes the Detroit Lions' chances of winning down a lot.
Especially against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Because the last 2 years he's thrown a pick six in each one of the games. Pick six with a 40-yard return. Exactly 40 yards on each of them.
Yeah.
Kind of odd. But you got to play a clean game. Limit the turnovers / no turnovers, but you definitely can't be throwing it where they can pick it off and take it back for 6. Jared Goff has to play a clean game today. That's for sure. And feel free to cut me off if you want to talk more Jared Goff. One of the other matchups I'm looking for is actually two guys on opposite teams, but both on offense. I'm looking at Jamison Williams and DK Metcalf. I'm looking at who's going to provide the big play for these teams today. Who's going to limit the big play? Which defense is going to limit the big play? I think DK or J-Mo, if either of them can get off, it's going to make it for a very long night. Did I just say if either of them get off? If either of them go off, it's going to be a long day for those defenses that are trying to cover them. So locking down those two are going to be keys to each of the defenses.
Women weaken legs. Anywho. No, but
I agree with you too, brother, by the way.
Yes. No. That's a really interesting one because, yeah, you've got DK Metcalf, who's proven himself to be one of the better receivers in the National Football League, has a flair for the big play, is built like the Terminator, but also has the speed of like a Jamison Williams, which doesn't seem fair. And J-Mo, of course, has had his flair for the big plays this season. I personally think that if any one of those is going to go off, it's going to be DK. Not J-Mo hate. I think the Seahawks secondary as currently constructed when you factor in injuries is better than the Detroit Lions, Brian Branch and Ife Melifonwu lists Detroit Lions secondary. So I think Decaf. Shout out Coffee. DK Metcalf. This is one of those games.
Shout out Coffee.
Decaf Metcalf.
This is honestly one of those games where I don't want it to look like last year, and I'm not saying this because I think it's going to look like last year, but I think DK Metcalf could have a good game and the Lions still win.
If he doesn't, I'm telling you, we're gonna post some socials.
Yes.
Decaf Metcalf.
Oh, I would love to see that. I would love to see that because, some of the receivers that you think would have gone off against the Lions last year and did go off against the Lions last year really didn't. Like Mike Evans, for example. Puka Nacua maybe would have if he would have stayed healthy, but even Cooper Kupp, it was about volume. It was about efficiency. Cooper Kupp had a 100-yard game, but it took him 14 catches to get that. Like I said, I do think there's a chance DK has himself a hell of a game, but that the Lions still win.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, Lions in the chat. We're going to be calling him Decaf Metcalf after tonight.
Yes.
Look what you started, Flannel Sam.
I know. Hopefully,
I can't wait.
Hey, less energy, maybe a little less speed. Maybe you take decaf instead of caffeinated coffee.
Factual. You did bring up a good point, though. He can still have a good game. He can have a Cooper Kupp-like game.
Yeah.
But why I wanted to put him in that category with J-Mo, I think if he has big plays, that's when the Lions are in trouble. You just got to keep him in front of you, limit him, not let those big play happen, because you're not expecting the big plays out of Lockett and maybe not even JSN. If DK Metcalf starts getting, 50, 60, 70-yard receptions, that's where this Lions defense starts to have problems.
Yeah, and I expect maybe they'll have a breakdown or two, but largely Aaron Glenn has had this defense keeping everything in front of them, and they've made sure tackles. That's where Brian Branch is somebody that you're hoping is, can give it a go tonight. But with J-Mo, I'm wondering what the Lions' offensive game plan is. Is it something where they're looking to get Jared Goff more into what he looked like last year, where he was hitting Amon-Ra kind of in the slot, Amon-Ra on those, across the middle, hitting your tight ends, whether it's Sam Laporta, if he plays or not. I'm wondering exactly where they're going, because when you look at some of the breakdowns of tape where they're talking about where Jared Goff is kind of missing some of those throws, it's generally there. It's in his bread and butter and in his sweet spot, but we know who was there last year was Josh Reynolds. I do believe that naturally there's still going to be some aspects of getting your chemistry and your rhythm together with these wide receivers, but I do wonder how much of a role, how much of a decoy, how much of an impact Jameson Williams as a deep threat, since Jared Goff and he have already proven to have a little bit of a connection, how much does that open up the middle of the field for Amon-Ra and whoever the tight ends are?
Probably quite a bit. And like I said earlier with the whole how I think Seattle's defense will play the Lions receivers, if I'm Seattle, the potential matchup of Tariq Woolen versus Jameson Williams, that could be a really, really fun one. Because Woolen himself is a speed demon at corner, and he's a big corner as well. He's 6'4", he's physical. But Jameson Williams, man, if he can get clean releases, I don't even think somebody like the caliber of Woolen can really stop him if he's going long or something like that. So I could see a big play from J-Mo as well. But that's where Woolen, he's got to make sure to jam J-Mo at the line. And we'll see. Like I said, a big one to watch. Certainly one that I'm going to be keyed in on.
Hey, you know what, Crazy Clown? Is this a game where Terrion gets his first pick? Mason Leach. TA is about to delete decaf in this game. Hey, you know what? People are bullish about TA. I don't think that's going to happen either. I do feel like the style of defense that he does play, he gives himself an opportunity to get an interception. But I know people are wondering, you know what, can he be a little less handsy? Can he be a player that is getting a few less flags? Because this is a game tonight where I do believe that penalties could play a very important role. When you're talking about a defense that's trying to keep everything in front of them and not give up any big plays, well, a big play is a pass interference down the field.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, man, it's so crazy how many games are decided won and lost by a pass interference when it seems like a quarterback has nowhere to go. He just throws it up and gets a pass interference call. And Terrion Arnold, if you want to say one criticism, I mean, I'm not saying it's his only criticism, but probably the one that's most glaring to us fans is the fact that he has been penalty prone. And we all know him being a rookie, even those ones that are a little ticky-tack, they're probably going to get called on him, which, is it fair? No. Is it something that every rookie has to face? Absolutely. And I just want to remind people of one thing. For people saying that Terrion Arnold is going to get his first interception tonight, I want to remind people, interceptions are not the end-all, be-all when it comes to cornerback play. You know how I know? Because Sauce Gardner is the best cornerback in the game and has 2 his entire career. I'm not saying Terrion is Sauce Gardner. I'm saying that as long as you do your job and limit your receiver, like Terrion did to Marvin Harrison Jr. last week.
Exactly.
I am more than satisfied.
Especially as a rookie, this is one of the hardest positions to play and step in day one and be that guy. And for me personally, I honestly have been a little bit more pleasantly surprised and pleased with what Terrion Arnold has done on the field than I expected. I thought that we would see big mistakes. If you're telling me the most we're really kind of dealing with right now is a little handsy, some penalties, I'm okay, because right now I see him, yes, there's some mistakes. There's some things to clean up. But largely I see him wrapping up. Largely I see him tackling. Largely I see him keeping the plays in front of him. And I know that it's easy to put a spotlight on things, but this defense has only given up 17.6 points per game. He's been a vital and important part of this defense, and that's completely different than last year. We were wondering, can this defense approach these types of numbers? He's playing one of the more important one of the more important positions on the field. I'm not going to harp too much about TA as long as, like you said, he's looking the part.
Ah, man, 17.6 points per game. You just said that, and I instantly just had this big, goofy grin on my face because think about this, and I know I'm digressing a little bit. The offense hasn't even figured it out yet fully, although the running game seems to be pretty steady, and the Lions are still 2-1. Just imagine if this offense, which I believe that they will, figures it out and plays a start to finish good game. And I suspect that they're going to do that quite a few times this year. So that's a testament to the defense by holding the Arizona Cardinals in the second half to 3 points. And getting off to such a good start against the Rams to where the Lions had a 17-3 lead. And I've got confidence in this defense. Like I said, the Brian Branch injury does have my antennas up a little bit, but I think the key to the Seattle Seahawks game is just don't do what you did the last 2 years. And I'm confident that the offense will be able to overcome, even if the Lions defense gives up like 21 to 24 points.
Yeah, I see Bode over there with just kind of that stoic confidence as well, nodding in approval. But you know what? We got a couple more segments of Detroit Lions talk, but I got to tell you guys about where you can catch this Detroit Lions game. Listen, the watch party, the post-game show, the New Holland Brewing Company presents Woodward Sports' postgame and watch party. The heavyweights, Stick and Anson, other Woodward Sports personalities are going to be in the building at Hayes Social in Shelby Township. You guys want to get there. We're going to start things off around 8 o'clock at Hayes. Fans are there. We're going to be there. And if you can't be there, make sure you're tapped in online watching the watch party. It's the perfect companion to this Monday Night Football game for the Detroit Lions. If you can't make it out there, I'm telling you, it's good food, it's good drinks. We're going to make sure that we include you in the show as well with all the other Lions fans that are there. We want to see you out there, man. It's Woodward Sports, your #1 digital sports network. This is brought to you by all of your long drinks, Soroki's, Sabbath Coffee, New Holland, Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Did I forget anybody?
I don't think so. I think you got it covered, man.
I think I got it covered. Hey, we want to see you guys out there. Go Lions.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
To prove that you can get just as strong at Planet Fitness, we're seeing if people can tell the difference between our 75-pound dumbbell and a 75-pound dumbbell from an overpriced competitor gym. Okay, the old flick test, that never fails.
There's literally no difference.
Plus, you can save $28 or more when you join today. Wow.
Why would I pay more to lift the same weights?
It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice Sale. Save $28 or more. Join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. Planet Fitness. Light price, strong choice.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Attention sports fans, I got to tell you guys about Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine Center. Hey, listen, he joins us every Tuesday on Big D Energy and every Thursday on Ermanni and Edwards, where he's offering you the top-notch injury advice. You got to trust the guy that DMAC trusts. Dr. Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. he got that secret sauce. Look, you know, KG told me I got to make sure I remind y'all about the secret sauce. Shout out to Dr. Pierce, man. Michigan Sports and Spine. Stay tapped in. And we are back. Wake up, Woodward, live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. It's your boy Brandon Day, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential business reporter and writer for the network. They got Media Day today. We got the vet of the squad, Flannel Sam. We got our credential Tigers reporter and writer, Matthew Broder, on the field, capturing all of the celebration when they locked it up.
Appreciate that credit, my dog.
We got my dog,
Zing!
Detroit's #1 draft pick in the sound space, KG, and we got Woodward Sports' MVP. It's a Monday. So, JB Smooth holding it down on the TD space as well, man. But tomorrow's Tuesday, so you guys already know what's on the way. Let's get back into a little bit more of these, not just the Detroit Lions, but also kind of around the NFL.
Yeah.
I gotta kind of focus on the NFC North just a little bit here because there's a team that since preseason I've been saying, guys, I really think that there's something to this squad here. If Sam Darnold can play clean football, and Flannel, you had people up in arms last week because you put them #3 on your power rankings.
Yes.
These Vikings took Jordan Love and the Packers to task, man.
Hey, I mean, the Packers were able to amount a bit of a late comeback, but you know what? It's the NFL. In road divisional opponents, you take wins any way you can. And that's one of the – I didn't know what they were going to do against the Packers, but that's one of the reasons why I had the Vikings so high on my list is that they had tough games. They decapitated the Houston Texans, a team that a lot of people think are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. They beat the 49ers. The Christian McCaffrey-less 49ers, but Ayuk played, Debo played, George Kittle played, and I know Debo and Kittle missed the following week. And then you see them go on the road and beat the Green Bay Packers. It was Jordan Love's first start. He was obviously a little rusty. He threw a couple of early interceptions, but still. The Minnesota Vikings, man, 4-0 during a really tough part of their schedule. Sam Darnold is playing like MVP caliber football. I'm not saying he's going to be the MVP, but if you're giving away the award through 4 games, he's certainly in consideration for it. You got Aaron Jones, you got Justin Jefferson. The defense, although struggled a bit towards the end of the game. Grenard, Van Ginkel, huge additions, Blake Cashman. Not to glaze them too much, but the Vikings are good. I'm not saying that they're going to win the division. I'm not saying they're going to overtake the Lions, but be mindful of them when they make the wild card, because when you start out 4-0, you're damn near a mortal lock to at least make the wild card.
Yeah, listen, if things continue the way it's going, and I don't see how things go differently for the Vikings at this point in time. They proved that they had a little bit of a foundation last year, and this year with Sam Darnold just playing cleaner football than Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins could air it out. Nick Mullins could get you 300 yards. He could get the ball to Justin Jefferson, but he was also going to throw the game, ending interception at least 3 times in a game. We saw the Detroit Lions have great success that way. But we knew that it took every one of those interceptions. So coming into the season, it was just like, man, what can they do? And I know we had a question teed up last week. Do we want to see the Packers win, or do we want to see them get absolutely buried? How are you feeling about that today?
Honestly, I just did a lot of glazing of the Vikings, and people are going to say, like, you're not a Lions fan. But be that as it may, be that as I think that the Vikings are for real, I think that the Packers being 2-2 is absolutely huge, especially with getting Jordan Love back. I just said that the Vikings would make the wild card, so I'm kind of talking in circles right here.
I'm with you on the Packers,
I'm still more concerned about the Packers in a matchup with the Lions. I just think that with how good of a start that the Vikings had, that they could even falter down the stretch and still make the wild card. With the Packers, it would be huge, I think, for the Lions if we could see them on the outside looking in of the playoff picture, because I'm more scared of the matchup than the Vikings matchup personally.
Yep, and I know, Broder, you were just no hesitation about it. You want to see the Packers get buried when we had this question. And here you go, 2-2. They did, like Flannel said, mount a little bit of a comeback at the end, but they were getting washed at least the first half of that game. How you feeling about this, man?
Yeah,
NFC North shaking out the way it is.
It's nothing against the Vikings and the start that they're having. I think they're a legit team. I don't think I don't think by the end of the season we're going to say they're a good team or they're in the top 5 of a power rankings, which they'll probably be in one of our co-hosts' power rankings tomorrow up there. But I think for what Flannel said, the matchup with the Packers, like Jordan Love intimidates me more than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's perfect for them right now. I said Sam Darnold should have been the starter even if J.J. McCarthy was healthy, just to keep that to get that team moving at the beginning, let J.J. learn. But he's in there and he's showing he's a competent quarterback, not turning the ball over too much and making the right calls, making the right plays. I am more worried about the roster, the Packers roster, Matt LaFleur. Saying that, the more losses they can stack up, I would much rather see the Vikings in the playoffs. I would much rather see the rest of the NFC keep the Packers out of the playoffs. Let us have a year.
I like that, man. You know what? What's bad? What's so bad about burying the Packers? Nothing at all.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. We don't bury them. Last year when we went to Green Bay and took over their stadium, I remember a lot of us were there at that watch party in Flannel. We were sitting together, and I looked at you like, bro, we came into this game not expecting, not knowing what to expect, nervous energy, and then they just absolutely took out the belt the way CJ thought the Eagles were going to do. Now, the Lions took out the belt last year, and they took over Lambeau Field, and they spanked the Packers, man. It's always good when you bury the Packers.
Oh, yeah. It's always big because we came into the season thinking that the Packers were going to be the Lions' biggest competition. But we also were mindful of the fact that the NFC North could be a damn tough division. And the Vikings, I mean, they're proving us right, unfortunately, with a 4-0 start. And even the Bears getting a win yesterday, the Packers being 2-2. None of the teams in the NFC North are under 500. So, which is why it makes it, I wouldn't say a must-win tonight, but imperative that the Lions avoid the 2-2 cluster that could be the NFC North if the Lions lose tonight.
Especially if you're going for that number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm not worried about making the playoffs yet, but if you want that number 1 seed, you got to go out and win this game. You can't let the Seahawks get another game on you. The Buccaneers will be 2 games up. Teams that I didn't think we'd be competing with, you want to stay as close to them, or you want to stay at the top of that NFC for the majority of the season. So go out and win. Go out and win today.
You know what? Cartier said it too. We just got to take care of our own business, and that's what makes me confident about this Detroit Lions team is that all of the narratives we heard last year, the Detroit Lions just continue to hum along and bust all those narratives. That's one of the things I love most about them. They've been absolute narrative busters, and they know it, and they called it out themselves. We heard all of the different media tell us what was supposed to happen. We heard people tell us how the scripts were supposed to be written, and Dan Campbell was like, we just don't care, period. And that's what I'm expecting out of this Detroit Lions team this year as well. Just go out there and take care of business.
I like the term busters.
Let's rock.
Let's rock.
Let's rock, man. Hey, you know what? We got to get into this mailbag. We're at Feldman. How appropriate. But I know we got to pay a few bills first.
All right. I have to tell you about Salvation Army. Hey, it's a place that you want to volunteer. If you ever wanted to have an opportunity to do so but didn't know how, go to registertoring.com and sign up for any of their time slots. We have a 2-hour time slot where you're ringing the bell, where you're getting the donations. We've seen those people outside of stores around Christmas time. It seems like a really good cause and a really fun time at that. Or you could even have a virtual shift. So if you ever wanted a chance to volunteer and didn't know how, go to Salvation Army and registertoring.com.
Right when I was here, Premier Pet Supply, man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody!
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports. The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
If you are dealing with divorce, child custody, or other legal issues, Kevin and Catherine at KDK Law, they've got your back. It's not a situation that any of us want to deal with, but if you do, you want it to go as smooth as possible, and your older self down the road will thank you for making the decision to go to KDK Law. So give Kevin and Catherine a call or visit their website today, kdklaw.com. And where are we at today? We are at Feldman Auto, where I got my car. Matt Broder got his car, and we had the great experience with the sales team. It was just very, very smooth, and they've been around since 1996, and they have been rated the Chevrolet Dealer of the Year from 2019 to 2023. That is a 5-year run, and they're going to get it again in 2024 if I have anything to say about it. And we're here live today, and Big D Energy is here from 11 to 1, so if you want to stop by, get yourself a car, and say hello to Neil Rule, Darren McCarty, KG, and such. It's a Feldman Auto.
Hey, you know what? You crushed that, man. On a day we have no reads. What a day, man.
Are my improv skills actually getting better?
They're getting better, man. You're improving.
They were very rough for a while, I will admit that.
Hey,
especially
you know what?
my first KDK Law improv. That was not good.
We could call you the J-Mo of ad reads. Now everything is on the way up. Let's rock.
I love it.
Maybe J-Mo will get like a Flannel Sam ad read jersey.
I doubt that. I'm
Flannel Sam watch. He'll buy a flannel. You buy a J-Mo jersey.
If hell will freeze over if that happens, because I'm sure if he knows about us, he's probably not a fan of mine. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, you know what, man? It's only appropriate. We're at Feldman, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. Let's jump into this mailbag segment.
Let's do it.
Take it away, Mr. Broder.
Let's do it. First off, let's wish Tony D in the chat a happy birthday. It is his birthday today. One of the longtime listeners. He's here every day. Tony D, happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday to you, Tony D.
Feldman mailbag. This was from earlier, and I want to pose it to you guys, and I'm gonna pose it to you. Broder, do you see SKUBAL getting any MVP votes, or is it just Judge and Witt? And I want to ask you guys. Well, I don't think he's getting MVP votes. Seeing how important he's been as that every fifth day stabilizer for this team that is now in the playoffs, does that give you any extra a nudge towards an MVP vote for SKUBAL, or do you think it's going towards an offensive player?
Honestly,
yeah,
I think you probably got to give it to Aaron Judge. I understand, and I understand there's going to be people who say Bobby Witt may be even more important to the Royals than Judge is to the Yankees, but just look at the numbers, like 58 home runs, OPS that laps the field with everybody else. It's even over 100 points higher than Shohei Ohtani's. I think you got to give it to Aaron Judge. And when you have position players playing as well as Judge and Witt have, I think they have to be above SKUBAL. But SKUBAL will get rewarded with the Cy Young. Pitchers winning MVP is about as rare as can occur in baseball. It never happens. So I think it's going to be Judge, and second is going to be Witt.
Yes. Ed O'Neill, Feldman mailbag. Do the Lions need to force a turnover tonight? We haven't on Geno in the last 2 years.
Yes.
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 Yep.
1 or 2.
They forced 2.
I love that. Love that. Rando Smalls, hashtag Feldman mailbag. Plus or minus, Lions have 3 rushing touchdowns tonight.
I think they have 2. I think 3's a little aggressive, but 2 and you win the game. 2 and you win the game.
Yeah, I feel like if they get a third, I feel like it'll be like an end around to J-Mo.
Well, that's possible as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to combine 2, IT Hips and Chuckle Cheese. IT Hips starts hashtag Feldman mailbag. We know SKUBAL pitches game 1. Who do you think starts game 2 in a possible Game 3. Chuckle Cheese asks, who pitches Game 3 for the Tigers? He guessed maybe Brisky starts, and then it's a pen day. So what are we talking about? 2 and 3. Game 2 first.
I'm going to go Game 2's Reese Olson.
I think so.
Because you've seen him at times be dominant this year. He's gotten a few starts coming back from the injured list. And the thing, too, it's not just Reese Olson. It's Reese Olson with A.J. Hinch as his manager. A.J. Hinch isn't going to leave Reese Olson out there longer than he should. He's going to play the matchups, and he might use Reese Olson as, like, a 4-inning starter, a little bit of a lessened bullpen day. So the Reese Olson and A.J. Hinch combo, I'm very confident would start Game 2.
A short leash for Reese.
Yes.
Tommy K. Feldman mailbag. Will Job throw any innings against the Astros? Jackson Job.
He will throw one inning. That's my prediction. I can't tell you when. I can't tell you the leverage situation, but he will throw 1 inning.
1 inning, 1 strikeout, minimum.
Yes.
Another one from Tommy K. Will Goff throw for more than 2 touchdowns tonight?
Ooh, for more than?
Yeah, so that's 3.
See, I'm mapping it out.
Math.
I think, as I said, they'll get 2 rushing touchdowns, and Jared Goff will throw for 2 and the Lions may end up kicking a field goal or 2. So that would mean that the Lions score at least 28 points. So yeah, 2 touchdown passes for Goff.
2s across the board. Huh?
2s across the board.
2s. How about this from Justin from North Carolina? Feldman mailbag. Who told Flannel Sam he could wear jorts with the long sleeve flannel short? Who does he think he is, Daisy Duke?
Hey, these aren't shorts. These are like khakis. I don't wear shorts, but I guess I can see how they look that way from a certain angle.
And look, man, we give you guys flannel legs, and this is how you repay us? Come on now.
That's all right.
Mr. Joe the Gringo, Feldman mailbag. Who is the breakout candidate for each Detroit team going forward? Do the Tigers have a playoff star we don't know about yet?
Playoff star we don't know about.
Playoff star.
Yeah, let's turn it into that question. Who's going to have a big series against the Astros?
Wow, I mean, I'm hoping Riley Green.
Riley
aside
Green.
from the pitchers, I'm hoping it's Riley Green and that we see guys like Parker Meadows and even a guy like Colt Keith. Like, I want to see these guys kind of be what we've seen them be during this Tigers run.
I'll tell you what. Riley Green is obviously my choice, but what if it's Spencer Torkelson?
It needs to be
the
him.
X Factor. I see JB over there with his hands raised up.
What if it's Spencer Torkelson? This man may be playing for his future in Detroit. And if he has a breakout postseason, maybe the Tigers consider making him at least the first baseman moving forward. I'm not even sure if that's the right move, but there's nothing like a great postseason to get yourself all of the good favor with the Tigers organization and with the fans.
I'll go so far as to say he needs to be the one that breaks out.
Ooh.
The first 2 games against the Astros going against 2 lefties, which means Torkelson, the righty in that lineup, we need him to have a series. He doesn't need to have a Shohei Ohtani 50-50 type game where he goes 6 for 6 with 10 RBIs, but we need him to be that consistent right-handed bat in the lineup that allows A.J. Hinch to do what he does and play the mismatches against the lefty starters.
Chad family is on the Torg bandwagon, man. They're on the listen, JT Olsen, playoff Torg, baby. Hey, you know what? That guy 62 is looking forward to Parker Meadows. But
yeah.
The Shaquille Oatmeal, shout out to you. I hope it's Torque. If Torque gets hot, other teams are really in trouble.
That's a problem, especially in Houston with that left field porch.
Mm.
Brian Ruth, Feldman mailbag. Anyone else seriously nervous about Branch being out? Can the Notre Dame kid pick up the slack, Brandon Joseph?
Yeah, I'm nervous.
You have to be.
That could be what swings the game a certain way. And as I said, I don't think it's going to swing the game into a Seahawks victory. However, Brian Branch, his versatility, his ability to play safety, and also his ability to potentially guard JSN one-on-one, that's going to be missed. And I think the Seahawks might score a few more points because of it. But again, not enough to win.
Yeah, we can't talk about how good of a player we believe that Brian Branch is, and if he's not out. It's not about being scared about the Lions. It's just about being realistic about the impact that's going to be lost and the fact that it's more than next man up. Aaron Glenn is going to have a heck of a scheme to make up for a potential loss of Brian Branch.
Yeah, Stephen Baffy followed up, says, I think Branch being out is more painful than Ragnow. Yes, Frank is great, but Glasgow is more than serviceable. There's a much bigger drop-off to whomever takes over for Branch's reps against Gino.
Because no iffy as well. I don't hate that take in the slightest.
Yeah, and Chuck Brewer-Broder admitted the real reason you're leaving is because you're the Game 3 starter for the Tigers. Factual. Factual. No, Jesse Adams, Feldman mailbag. Who's the one guy on this Lions offense that will have a good game tonight? Second, who's one guy you would maybe be worried about tonight from the Seahawks offense? His is JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I'm going to go DK as the one that, I know that's like an easy one, but I think he could be a problem tonight. And I would say for the offense, who's going to have a big game, I am going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes. I think he breaks one. I think he breaks one of at least 40 yards tonight.
I was gonna say Gibbs too from the Lions offense. I believe that middle of the field, especially in the passing game, I can see him getting 30, 40 yards depending on how things go. But for the Seahawks, keep Geno Smith in check.
It's funny because that's like kind of like DK and Geno Smith are the obvious ones, but the obvious ones for a reason because they're damn good.
But with K9 back, it's like how much does this defense overreact or not to play actions into his presence in that backfield? And that's why I'm just like, man, this is a game that's a little bit more interesting and intriguing as it relates to Geno Smith because you got a monster back there with you.
It'll be a fun one. It'll probably be a close game. Like I said, I think the Lions come away with the win, but it's all about who withstands their injuries better.
Yeah. Give me Sam Laporta on the Lions offense. Give me Tyler Lockett on the Seahawks offense.
That's fair.
Just as that consistent guy who might catch 10 balls for like 75 yards.
You confident in Sam Laporta? Because that's the player that I really want to say, go out there and have a game.
I'm trying to will that into existence.
I can feel it. That's why I was like, let me ask.
Give me it, Sammy. Give me it.
What about you, Flannel? Sam Laporta, man.
I mean, I don't think he's lost anything. I think he's consistently getting open. I showed you a couple times where he was open in the Bucs game and Jared Goff wasn't able to hit him. The one thing I worry about with Laporta, and this isn't even a him thing, I don't want him to continue this slow start number-wise so that people think that he's regressed or anything. So I would like to see him have a big game.
Let's go.
All right, 10-1, last one here. Steve Lehman says, Feldman mailbag, Hutch's sack count increasing by 3 tonight?
No.
Question mark?
No.
3 sacks?
That's aggressive.
2.5? 2?
I can see him getting
over, under 2.
Under.
Over, under 1.
Over 1 for me.
1.5, baby.
1.5, yeah. I'll go 1.5.
We'll go there. What a show, man. Tigers, Lions. We'll talk Michigan tomorrow. We'll preview the Astros game tomorrow, Astros series. There's so much to get to.
Hey.
It's amazing.
Alex Orji.
What a week.
Got Loveland back. He inched ever so closely to 100 yards. He got over 75 yards, JB.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Look at Flannel.
I'll tell you what.
We back,
maybe
baby.
Just a little preview.
We up, Flannel.
Hey. A conference win is – I'm kidding. I'm kidding. This one is a little less inspiring. I'm a little bit more on KG's wave like this time.
KG.
But to preview tomorrow, there are some things to hang your hat on if you're Michigan. I'm not just going to doomsday,
I get to wear this Michigan shirt today because they won. It's victory.
A win
Michigan
is
shirt.
a win. I'll take them any way that I actually. Man, there have been some really uninspiring wins at the Big House to start the year, but that's neither here nor there. Tune in tomorrow.
I was sitting there like, come on, bro, you can get to 100. And I was just sitting there like, dang. I was really trying to have Kool-Aid levels of hope. No, the guys, that's why I love my brothers. You guys are trying to keep me from heartbreak.
You had Donovan Edwards wide open down the seam when you threw that pick to.
It was just like, I'm sitting here like, dang, for all the hope. This guy's not it.
Survive in advance.
I tried. But they won. So, you know what? Hey, go blue.
Who's got the little brown jug? Minnesota ain't got it. Michigan does.
This is a day that I know JB wishes he had a microphone.
I know.
Oh, man. But is that a show?
Yes.
That is a show. Live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. As you heard from these guys, as you've heard from us, if you need a car, if you think about a test drive, get down here. They're the right people in their process. It takes care of you, man. I'm telling you guys, you're not going to be here all day long. It's just they handle their business. That's Feldman Chevrolet of Novi, and it's been a day. These shows, man, you know what? I kind of like these out here, man. The remotes are awesome. It's been a day. We got KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick, on the soundboards, and we had JB Smooth, Woodward Sports' MVP, running TD today. Chat family, as always, you guys are the most important part of this thing, so go ahead and smash that like button. Shout out to that dude, Justin, as well as intern Chase, the rest of the WUW Crew that's not with us today. But Flannel Sam,
Yes.
the vet of the network. What up, though, brother?
You know, selfishly, as a network, with the Lions being having the expectations they are and playing Monday Night Football and the Tigers making the playoffs, there will be a lot of programming on our network these next 3, maybe 4 days. So be sure to tune in. Thank you guys for tuning in today. This was actually a fun show. Some shows, believe it or not, some are more fun than others, and this was more on the very fun end of the spectrum to me.
Hey, you know what? It's your boy Brandon Dan, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter writer for the network, and it's Pistons Media Day, so you guys stay tapped in. But last and probably the best, Mr. Matthew Broder.
Come on.
I don't give a frick. My man covered Lions, covered Tigers, did a hell of a job. Credential.
Appreciate
Matthew
you, dog.
Broder right there, man.
Hey, this is going to be an incredible last week here. I can't wait. I want tomorrow's show to be here already. We got Woodward and Maine tomorrow morning. Check out everything coming up the rest of the day. The heavyweights are hosting the pregame show before the watch party out at Hayes. Monday Night Football, baby. They're wearing the All Blacks.
Hey,
let's go.
Go out there and get a dub. Please get a dub. Get a dub. Get a dub. Goodness gracious, man. Beat the Seahawks. I'm just sitting here getting hype. But it's been a day. This is Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys. Be blessed. Go Tigers. Go Lions. Go Red Wings. Let's get it together, Pistons.